Hey guys, Chad here from Chad's Beer Reviews. This is my annual top 10 worst beers of the year list. Even though I didn't do video reviews anymore, I still do text reviews and never did stop doing them. So, this was a pretty easy list to put together because, for two reasons. Bad beers actually stand out more in my mind than good beers do. Because it's like you feel like you've been cheated or something like that. And also that I don't really review hardly that many bad beers relative to how I used to. I mean, I've reviewed like every macro lager and light lager, and I haven't really done too many malt liquors, but stuff like that. Anything those global beer brands, they're all pretty much the same, and they all do suck. And I reviewed them all already. So everything on this list is actually craft beer, or crafty, I guess you could call it. Same rules apply as the top 10 best beers list. Only beers I reviewed for the first time in 2016 were eligible, so re-reviews don't count. I also am doing the only one beer per brewery rule and only one beer per style rule. I do kind of tweak that just a bit, which we'll get to in a minute, but that's about it. And this is something that I made an effort to do this year. In previous years, a lot of the beers that ended up on my worst of list is because at the time I was reviewing them, they were old, and so they just had that plenty of flaws, oxidation, all that stuff. I actually made a specific point to not include beers that were old. Either I knew they were old or I suspected they were old. Those are not on this list. Beers that were tasted like the way the brewer meant it to taste are the ones on this list. You could actually call it the top 10, you gotta be kidding me, beers of 2016. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's get to the list. Number 10, Sprecher Black Bavarian. We were able, I was never able to get Sprecher. I believe they're out of Milwaukee. When I lived up in Albany, and we can't get them here in Florida either. And based on this beer, I don't think we're really missing much. This was a giveaway at the Beer Bloggers Conference in Tampa back in July, when they announced that the 2017 Beer Bloggers Conference is going to be held in Milwaukee. They gave bottles of this away to everybody. I think it was actually one of the first beers I reviewed as soon as I got home. Was not a fan. Just kind of tasted musty. It was very bland, like not much in the way of chocolate or roastiness or anything. It just tasted like very almost like Michelob or something, something very generic like that. Just was not a fan. So that's all I gotta say about that. Number 9, Brew Bus Rollin' Dirty. Again, this was another giveaway from the Beer Bloggers Conference, and actually Brew Bus is right down the road from me in Tampa. They're a bus tour company because Tampa has so many different breweries. Like you just pay to get on the bus and they drive you from brewery to brewery. It takes like all day, and there's like different tours and packages and all that stuff. And they did an event for the Beer Bloggers Conference, and they have a bunch of their own brand beers that Cigar City makes. They do an IPA, a porter, pale ale, all that stuff. But this one, the Rollin' Dirty, is what they're calling an Irish Red. Was not a fan of it at all. Let's see, slight red fruit flavor, mild earthy hop character, but no bitterness, no roasty or chocolate flavors, nothing off-putting, nothing to really enjoy here. This would probably be enjoyable for mainstream drinkers who want something mild and like the red color, but connoisseurs would probably be disappointed. If you know me, I think Irish Red is like one of my absolute least favorite styles, probably my least favorite ale style. That's not to say I hate all of them. I have had good Irish Reds. This just wasn't one of them, and this can was fresh. Moving on. Number 8, Saltwater Locale, or Locale, I don't know. Saltwater is a Florida-based brewery, and this particular beer should be an ideal Florida beer. It's only 3.7% ABV. It's a blonde ale, and it comes in a can. That is a winning formula for a tropical environment. But it just tastes like it was made by an amateur homebrewer. It's just huge butter bomb, diacetyl, and a little bit of cream corn in there, so that's probably DMS. When you pour it, it was super fizzy and just went completely flat. It wasn't refreshing, kind of left a kind of a gross aftertaste. this is like if I was judging a homebrew competition, this is exactly like a kind of entry I would expect to have. But this was made by a commercial brewery. And what's really ironic is that I actually had that beer at a beer festival, actually like a few days before I reviewed the can. And at the beer festival, it was actually really good. But I guess it doesn't translate well to cans. And it was a fresh can. Again, all these were maybe not like super fresh, but they were within the reasonable freshness date. So that one was really disappointing. Maybe they'll fix it. Maybe I'll give it a review next summer. Anyways, moving on. Number 7, Weyerbacher Sunday Mole Stout. Do you notice there was like 2 huge beer trends in 2016? The citrus infused IPAs and what I'm calling the mole style stouts. Like Stone did the Zacco Vexa. I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah. Lots of other breweries did these kind of spicy stouts. I guess you can even say like the Last Snow. That was coffee and coconut, but this is like actual peppers and stuff. I guess people were trying to emulate Cigar City Hunapu. That was like the kind of the originator of the style. So, anyways, this was really disappointing. You get definitely a little bit of cinnamon, chocolate, pepper kind of spiciness in there. But and there's coffee in it too, but you just can't taste it at all. The spices just completely override the whole palate. There's no dark malt, no roasty taste, no real hops. Get a little bit like a solventy kind of thing there. Like that's like some kind of like a homebrewing mistake. It's not something I would tend to associate with commercial breweries. It should have been a winning combination. It should have been Weyerbacher's Hunapu, and it just tasted like a hot mess. Like it tasted like something you'd get at a homebrew competition. Even the mouthfeel was like real thick and sticky and lingering spicy aftertaste. Was not a fan. I don't know why. I keep reviewing Weyerbacher, and I don't think I've ever like really liked like a Weyerbacher. They're like, to me, they're like Saranac, Sam Adams quality. I keep thinking they're like more higher up, but they're really not. I'm not gonna be going crazy about Weyerbacher anymore. And they also had their anniversary bourbon barrel, like their version of KBS, their 21st anniversary beer. That sucked too. But I think this one was worse. And I'm counting this as a spicer vegetable rather than an imperial stout, as we'll see in a second. All right, moving on. Number 6, Rochester Mills Newton's Alchemy Double IPA. I had never seen or heard of Rochester Mills until I moved to Florida, and then I saw them at the beer store, and I was impressed because like all their beers come in pint cans, and they're actually pretty cheap too, relatively cheap. I mean, just that they're not super expensive. And the first beer I had of theirs was decent, and then it just was all downhill from there. Every Rochester Mills beer that I've had has been worse than the previous one, and this is going to be the last one that I review. I don't know how you screw. It's a double IPA. How do you screw this up? It has a strong yeasty flavor, slightly sulfury and phenolic. A little bit of a plastic or rubber thing going in there. Get a little bit of a spicy, peppery taste, and that's pretty gross. I know they don't use peppers in there. It's probably phenols or whatever hops they use or something like that. I think this was their attempt to do a New England style IPA, and it wasn't anywhere close. Whatever hops they picked were just the wrong hops, and I don't know. The brewery actually tweeted at me on Twitter. I forget what they said exactly. I know it was like something really sass and snide, so I'm not going to be buying your crap anymore, Rochester Mills. Moving on. Number 5, Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Stout. This is why the Weyerbacher didn't make the list. Everybody loves beers aged in bourbon barrels, right? What if there was an entire brewery based on that concept? That's what the All-Tech Lexington Brewing and Distilling Company is supposed to be, I guess. I had heard a few years ago when these guys first came out, it was like actually Sam Adams in disguise, but I haven't been able to get any verification of that. So as far as I know, it's an independent brewery. Kind of like, I guess you can call it like the American equivalent of Innocent Gun. Everything they make, they just age in bourbon barrels or on wood or whatever. They also have a Kentucky Bourbon Ale, which is kind of like a strong ale aged in bourbon barrels. That was pretty lousy too, but this one was even worse. Let's see. Mild palate of dark malt with generic nondescript sweetness, no distinct roasted flavor. Some firm dry bitterness at the apex, followed by a short coffee flavor and some alcohol warmth. No chocolate or vanilla notes. Bourbon barrel character is virtually undetectable. This fails as both a bourbon barrel brew and a coffee stout. Oh yeah, I forgot this was supposed to be. Yeah, it says right on the bottle, brewed with coffee. as you'll see right there. Yeah, that one really disappointing and like overpriced, and I don't know who these guys think they are. I don't know who's buying this stuff. All right, getting to the top 4. Number 4, Sun King Wee Mac Scottish Style Ale. This was another freebie from the Beer Bloggers Conference. In fact, they gave me, I think, 3 or 4 beers. None of them were really that good. They were all pretty lame, pretty meh across the board. This one, and it was actually, I'm surprised, I don't know why I put it so high on the list. This probably could have been a 10 or a 9. It wasn't so much that it was awful, it was just really, really boring. Mild, bland palate, malt focus, but little distinct character. Real faint trace of confectionery notes. It also had kind of like a mineral taste to it. No hop presence at all. Just they're calling it a Scottish style. I looked like there's like 3 or 4 different Scottish styles if you check the BJCP specs. This did not match up with any of them. It's just kind of a generic amber ale, I guess you could call it. It's again, this just reminds me of something like from a Michelob or something like that, or well, I guess Magic Hat nowadays. Did not like that one at all. Thanks for the can, though. Number 3, Samuel Adams Whitewater IPA. Sam Adams, they're kind of like, it's not that they make bad beer. It's like they're like the dad jeans of beer. It's like they're trying to be hip and cool. And whenever like they also made a Goes, which I had really considered putting on this list, that was pretty bad too. But this one was even worse. This is what they were calling a white IPA, like a wit beer IPA hybrid. It was neither. This was basically tasted like their version of Blue Moon. Very very fall tasting. Just slight orange peel flavor, a little bit of apricot. Or actually, I put apricot presence is invisible. Strong black pepper sensation and finish. Seems to have a dirty taste, maybe even some unintentional sourness. Real off-putting, very astringent, lingering, unpleasant aftertaste, not refreshing at all. It almost drinks like a bad batch, or again, like an amateur homebrewer made this, and I can't believe this was a Sam Adams beer. I couldn't even finish this one. That's I don't think I've ever put Sam Adams on a top 10 worst list before, but I don't really buy their stuff that much. But anyways, moving on. Number 2, Orange Blossom Honey Pilsner. This really pains me to put this on the list because Orange Blossom is actually a local brewery. They're out of Orlando, and their beers are actually made right down the road from me here in Lakeland at Brew Hub. And I've tried like 3 or 4 of their beers, and they've all been bad, not just lame like the Sun King, like just bad. Like I can't believe they want the beer to taste like this. Like they're calling this a Pilsner, and like I call it a honey Pilsner, so it's like I'd put it under alternative sugar beer. Had no Pilsner quality whatsoever. I mean, it's just like a kind of a pale lager. Like there's some honey flavor in there, but it's again kind of like the Locale. Like you pour it and it's fizzy, and then it just goes flat like right away. Not crisp. No spicy hops. No like real authentic grain or anything like that. Tastes and drinks like an old can, but it was actually quite fresh at the time. Just nowhere close to a Pilsner, completely lacking in character. It seems like a failed homebrew. Repeating myself here. But yeah. And actually, if you look at the pictures of all these, you'll notice what a lot of them have in common is they all just like look flat, like have no head or carbonation or anything. Moving on. Number 1, NGB gluten-free lager. I don't know where I got this. I must have got this at the Beer Bloggers Conference. Because I can't imagine I would pay for this. Or did we? Actually, I think we got this at Trader Joe's. Yeah, I got this at Trader Joe's because it's made by that Meanhaus Craft Brewery, which also they make all the Trader Joe's lines, the Boatswain beers and some like the Simpler Times and things like that. Everything that brewery makes sucks. I'm surprised Trader Joe's is still competing with them, or contracting with them, I should say. And this is a gluten-free beer. So it's sorghum based. I've never, except for Steadfast out of Albany, I've never really liked gluten-free sorghum beers. It's just real twangy, astringent, and that's how this beer was. Vegetal, just tasted old even though it was fresh. I put my entire review in the blog version of this. Pour it, Head foams up and then disappears right away. Smells kind of tastes like cider, borderline flavor free, some generic lager taste, though sorghum twang grit presence is noticeable. Some apple juice character, which is probably acetaldehyde. Just thin, real thin, watery mouthfeel. Just nothing about this to like at all. So yeah, that was the worst beer I had all year. And that's pretty much all I got to say. So yeah, 2016, not so bad compared to other years. I mean, there's still plenty of it was more mediocre stuff than really bad stuff. No Budweiser and Clamato Gelada. So yeah, that wraps it up. Thanks for watching. I'll put links to the blog, and you can see if you want to read the text review of any of them. It'll all be down there. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I will see you around. Bye.